Hello, brethren. Welcome once again, and good evening from Iceland. Today we are going to go into the speaking skill. So now we are beginning with the IELTS academic in general. We are starting with the speaking, and then from the speaking we go to the listening. From listening we go to the reading, and then we go to the writing skills. So that is how it's going to be. So I'm going to explain the details of it, and then what the things you must do and what you must not do. So sit down and then let's do it. Okay, so the speaking test is made up of 3 parts. We have the part 1, part 2, and the part 3. The part 1 is called Introduction and Interview. The part 2 is called Individual Long Term, and the part 3 is called Discussion or two-way discussion. The duration of the part 1 is between 4 and then 5 minutes. It is going to be in an interview format. It is going to be in an interview format, right? And then you normally have about 4 or 5 questions. The examiner is going to ask you about 4 or 5 questions, and there may be follow-ups, right? So the questions may be more than 5, but some will be follow-up to main questions. It could be on any subject, right? It could be on any subject. People will tell you that last month they concentrated on this subject. This month they will concentrate on that subject. It is not always the case, right? They could. You must learn the skill of answering questions. You must not learn the content of the things you must say. So that is very important. So the subject could be on family, it could be on accommodation, it could be on neighborhood, education, it could be on a job, cold weather, laughing, daily routine, anything. It could be on anything, but normally not on controversial issues like politics and all those things. No, it is normally casual issues. Okay, so now let us look at the things you must do before the test, especially because part 1 is the first part of the test. So the things you must do. Be psychologically prepared, right? Be psychologically prepared. Psych yourself up. Consider it as a friendly meeting. You are going to demonstrate your speaking skill to someone for the person to score you. You need a person, so you don't have to be afraid of the person. The person is not going to be an enemy. The person is going to give you an opportunity, right, to show your capacity and your ability with respect to the speaking skill. So you don't have to be afraid. Consider the examiner as a facilitator, more of a facilitator, right? So now let us go to the next slide. So this is how the test begins. So when you go there, this is how it is. You go there, you'll be checked in. They will verify your ID card. The ID card that you use in registering, you will present it. So if you use your passport, when you are going to the test or the speaking test center, you don't have to take a different ID card. Go there with your passport. If you use a national ID, go there with that specific or particular national ID that you use. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to take the test. Right? Go there earlier. You must go there earlier than the scheduled time. Go there earlier so that you settle in and you relax, and then you familiarize yourself with the environment, and this will help psych you up. Right? So the test is such that it may be in a video call or it may be live in person. The examiner will be there, or it may be a video call like maybe on Zoom or your WhatsApp video calls that you've been doing, right? The examiner will be there, and then you'll be there. You'll be seated comfortably. You have a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper beside you. It will be provided that you may need. And when the need comes, the examiner will draw your attention to that. So the scenario is something like that, right? The exam commences by the examiner introducing himself. The examiner introduces him or herself, and then introduces the test, right? Tells you about a lot of things, right? And then invites you to introduce yourself. You introduce yourself, and the examiner engages you, right, in a non-scoring conversation. The examiner engages you. So you'll be talking, the examiner will start asking you questions that are very, very flexible. So for example, what job do you do? What is your occupation? And the answers that you give will inform the next follow-up. So this part is non-scoring, right? So when the examiner is convinced that you are relaxed or you are settled, then the examiner will begin the test questions. And the examiner will communicate to you that maybe I'm going to ask you some questions on family or about parks or about, it could be on anything. You must just be ready, right? So this is immediately the examiner communicates the subject of the engagement to you, the questions to you, then the scoring starts. Right? Then the examiner will pose the first question, and then you will respond, and then subsequent questions will follow. Okay, so now let us look at ways you can answer the questions, right? Answering the questions. Please don't use part of the question in your answer. It is not advisable to do that. When you do that, you have not said anything new. So what is your favorite food? You say, my favorite food is. No. You do that in IELTS, you are going to score low. But what you can do is to replace maybe favorite with a different word. And when you do that, you are scoring more because then you have applied a synonym. And once you're able to apply a synonym in English speaking, it means you have a level of command over the language because you have been able to apply a word to replace another word, and the meaning of whatever you are saying is still intact. They like that very much. So for example, what is your favorite food? So the food I like best is. Very nice, right? Don't worry yourself trying to come up with vocabulary, and then the vocabulary that you know, those ones that are common to you are good enough, right? So there's a typical question example here. It says, what is the most interesting thing about your hometown? An answer could be, people find the location of where I come from very fascinating, right? Something like that is okay. But going to use interesting again is a repetition, right? So when I say don't repeat the question, I mean don't repeat the content words, the lexical words there, not necessarily the determinants or the pronouns or the other low class words, right? I mean the main words. Don't repeat them. You can always replace them. You shouldn't say the most interesting thing about my hometown is its location. Oh, something like that is not the best. It's not good enough. Okay, now let us move on to still answering, right? Your answer can be a sentence, your answer can be a phrase, and your answer can be a word. You can ask, where do you come from? You can say maybe London, or you can say, let me use Reykjavik. This is where I stay. Or in Ghana, you can say Accra, or you can say I come from Accra. Right? You see, certain words are very common, and then even if you use them without replacing them with new words, it's okay. But if you are still able to replace them with new words, that is good, right? So where do you come from? You can say I hail from Accra, right? Something like that. I hail from London, or you can say London, right? So that is a phrase or a word. But what you shouldn't do is do not leave your answer hanging. Your answer can be a sentence, it can be a phrase, it can be a word, but do not leave your answer hanging. Do not leave your answer hanging. I'm repeating it, right? If it is a sentence, build upon the sentence. If it is a phrase, build upon the phrase. If it is a word, build upon the word. This is how you deliver what we call full answers. So for example, if the question is, where do you stay? A sentence answer can be, I have my residence in Accra. Or you could just say, in the heart of Accra. That is a phrase. Or you can just say Accra, but just don't leave your answers hanging. Expand on them. And that is how you score high when it comes to IELTS, right? Okay, now let us go to the next one. The next one says, this is how you give full answers. So it becomes a full answer when the answer is delivered and an expansion is provided. Then you have given a full answer. So when you are asked the question, you deliver an answer, then you expand upon it. Then it becomes a full answer. How do you do that? You can do that by following this acronym called REDS. REDS. In this case, the R stands for reason, the E stands for example, and the D stands for detail, whilst the S stands for speculate. So these are the REDS. So what it means here is that you can expand upon an answer with a reason. You can expand upon an answer with an example, and you can expand upon an answer with details, and then you can expand upon an answer with a speculation. We are going to look at their application in the next video. So this is part one of the speaking text. That is introduction and interview. Thank you.